All right, item number 2, public comments. I do have one. It says agenda items 7 and 9. Nathaniel Barrera, would you like to speak at this time?
Yes. Let me know when my 3 minutes starts.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's up on the screen there.
Perfect, thank you. In the past 4 to 5 years, so much has changed in Medina County, and just geographically, physically, and with the economics of the county on both the micro and macro levels. And in the past few times, it's been a minute since I've been back to these meetings, I've had some family stuff. But in the past, I've seen the Treasury Department here sort of speed read or mumble through, the reports and especially the numbers. You're getting 6 figures or more. I like to be slowed down a little bit. And it's undeniably, I would say, the most important reason we're all here today. I mean, we're all here for money, right? So I ask that you encourage them to use less legalese, less acronyms, no jargon, and please slow them down on related to numbers, especially because these get confusing. And I just request that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anything?
No, sir, we don't. In public comments, we don't have interaction back and forth. You're allowed to make the comments.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, item number 3, discuss and take possible action to approve the May 19, 2025 Commissioner Court meeting minutes. You all have those in front of you.
I recommend that we approve the May 19th, 2025 Commissioners Court meeting minutes.
Have a motion and a second to approve the May 19, 2025 Commissioner Court meeting minutes. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 4, discuss and take possible action to approve personnel action forms.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. I have a nice little stack of personal action forms, so let's go ahead and get started. First one we have, employee name is Monica Godinez. The department head is Mandy Wilcox, and that one is resignation. Next PF we have is employee name Amy Laughlin. Department head is Deborah Graff, for an increase within an approved time slot or approved slot. Next, we have Autumn Ochoa over department head Deborah Graff, also an increase within approved slot. Next PF, we have employee Pamela Roman, department head Deborah Graff, increase within the approved slot. Next PF we have is Darcy Hasty over department head County Judge Keith Lutz, dismissal. Next we have Raul Trinidad, department head Larry Sitter, and that one is a resignation. Next PF we have employee named William Alexander, department head Randy Brown, and that is increase within approved slot. Next, we have Daniel Hernandez, department head Randy Brown, and that is a new hire. Next PF, we have Francisco Godinez, department head David Lynch, and that is for retirement. Next PF, we have John Gorham, department head Daniel Lawler, increase with the approved slot. Next employee name is Rudy Bada, department head Daniel Lawler, increase with approved slot. Next PF, we have Ascension Rodriguez, department head Daniel Lawler, increase within approved slot. Next is Juan Rodriguez, department head Daniel Lawler, and that one is a transfer. Next, we have Paul Rodriguez, Department Head Daniel Lawler, and that is increased within approved slot. Next employee name is Walter Sellers, Department Head Daniel Lawler, increased within approved slot. Next PF, we have Albert Zolika, and we have Department Head Daniel Lawler, increased with approved slot. And last but not least, for our PDFs, we have Yedrio Rivera, Department Head Carly Kennel, and that is a new hire.
I'll move that we approve the personnel action forms.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Lynch, second by Commissioner Sitter to approve the personnel action forms. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 5, discuss and take possible action to approve an engagement letter from Portillo, Brown, and Hill LLP to conduct the outside audit for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2025.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. This is basically the annual engagement letter that we get from PB&H. They're the ones that handle our outside audit or the external audit, is what it's also called. For FY 24-25, the amount that we were charged is $46,100. This year, we're looking at $44,800, so an increase of $1,300 for their services.
You said last year they charged us what?
I think you said it
You
opposite.
said it opposite, I think.
46-1 this year.
46.1 is this year, and 44.8 was last year.
I like that. I like that. I like that.
Oh, I get it, went down?
First time ever.
Right?
Excellent. Okay, so 46-1.
I'll move that we approve the engagement letter from T.O. Brown and Hill LLP.
Have a motion from Commissioner Lynch, second by Commissioner Sitter, to approve the engagement letter from T.O. Brown and Hill LLP to conduct the outside audit. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 6, discuss and take possible action to approve a 2024 Chevrolet Silverado pickup for the Sheriff's Office through the TIPS Purchasing Cooperative. The amount on it was $51,123.
Right, so we ran that through the TIPS Cooperative Purchasing Co-op because of course it's over $50,000 threshold. And with that, we're just seeking for court approval so that they're able to purchase this. They do have money in the budget. The itemized budget information, seeing that they were wanting to purchase 2 Dodge Durangos, but now it's going to just this one truck. So there is money in the budget.
It's a regular capital outlay.
We want to approve the purchase of 2024 Chevrolet Silverado pickup truck for the Sheriff's Office through the TIPS Purchasing Cooperative.
Second. Have a motion by Commissioner Sitter, second by Commissioner Lynch to purchase a 2024 Chevy Silverado pickup for the Sheriff's Office through the TIPS Purchasing Cooperative. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7, discuss and take possible action to approve accounts payable.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, accounts payable is $380,653.19. All invoices over the $10,000 are on the cover page, and this time there are no wires.
accepting the 51 fund district attorney forfeiture on page 9.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, you need exceptions in
The 51 fund district attorney forfeiture on page 9.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Lynch, second by Commissioner Sitter, to approve the accounts payable with the exception of the 51 fund on page 9. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 8, discuss and take possible action to approve disbursement of funds since last Commissioners' Court meeting.
All right, since last Commissioners Court, fuel, utilities, dental, totaling the amount of $23,054.46.
I move we approve the disbursement of funds since the last court meeting.
I have a motion by Commissioner Lynch, seconded by Commissioner Castiglione, to approve the disbursement of funds since the last Commissioners' Court meeting. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 9, discuss and take possible action to approve the county treasurer's monthly report.
All right, this monthly report is for April of 2025. The month ending balance for Medina County combined funds is $34,866,427.58. The month ending total debt owed to Medina County is $20,845,000.
I recommend that we approve the county treasurer's monthly report.
I have a motion by Commissioner Castiglione, seconded by Commissioner Sitter, to approve the county treasurer's monthly report. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Just in general, I'm thinking back to the question that you asked when we came to talk about, just so everybody knows. So our packet, like all of this is in our agenda packet online. So all the documentation, all the backup, if anybody wants to look at all this, of course, the court gets this on Friday and has time to review and go through it. But just so you can find, except this morning, the website is down this morning. So we'll come into the website not working, but any other time you can find it on there.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. You're welcome. Okay, item number 10, discuss and take possible action to proclaim June as Elder Abuse Awareness Month. and I'm going to read that proclamation. Whereas older adults and people with disabilities of diverse backgrounds contribute to the well-being of this city and county by working, caregiving, volunteering, and actively preserving customs, rituals, and traditions. And whereas as we age, we build momentum by accumulating knowledge, experience, insight, and wisdom that can be shared to enrich our community. And whereas abuse of older adults and people with disabilities is a community concern affecting thousands of people across Texas. And whereas abuse affected more than 123,852 older adults and people with disabilities in Texas in 2024. And whereas abuse against older adults and people with disabilities is grossly underreported because of social stigma, embarrassment, and fear. And whereas adult abuse affects men and women of all income and ability levels, all cultural and ethnic backgrounds, in all communities, and whereas elder abuse is everyone's business, it's important to strengthen our efforts to prevent, report, and address elder abuse. Now therefore be it resolved that the Commissioners Court of the County of Medina hereby recognize and proclaim the month of June 2025 to be Elder Abuse Awareness Month in Medina County, Texas, and urge all residents to work together to reduce abuse and neglect of older adults and people with disabilities.
Move that we proclaim June as Elder Awareness. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Motion by Commissioner Lynch, seconded by Commissioner Sitter, to proclaim June 2025 as Elder Abuse Awareness Month. Any other discussion? And we'll let you go ahead and make your comments before we vote.
Good morning, Your Honor,
Good morning.
Commissioners. My name is Vanessa Amebe. I am the investigator for Adult Protective Services here in Medina County. I'd like to thank you for designating June 2025 as Elder Abuse Awareness Month in Medina County. Elder abuse is a widespread concern across the nation and is a significant issue in this county. Medina County has 9,821 older Texans aged 65 and up, and 4,349 people with disabilities. In 2024, APS in Medina County received 298 intakes related to abuse, neglect, and exploitation, and we completed 212 investigations. We all deserve to lead happy and healthy lives free from abuse at the age. Adult Protective Services remains committed to our Partnering to Protect initiative, fostering strong community collaborations statewide to enhance resources and enable safe aging in place. Adult Protective Services and the South Texas APS Community Board remain committed to raising awareness. We thank Medina County Sheriff's Office, our probate courts, our district attorney's office for its unwavering support in our protective mission. These collaborations are vital in building public and private partnerships to strengthen support networks and safeguard our community. On behalf of APS, thank you for your leadership and dedication to addressing elder abuse.
Thank you all for what you all do. Appreciate you. Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Yes, would y'all like to give that? Where are you going first?
I know where we're
Look
going.
over to the right. Look over to the right first.
Make this circle.
All right, straight ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you all again.
Thank you so much.
All right, agenda item number 11, discuss and take possible action to approve a resolution supporting immediate federal action to combat the threat of the New World Screwworm fly to livestock, wildlife, and rural economy. And I have another resolution that I'd like to read at this time. Whereas the New World screwworm fly poses an imminent and severe threat to livestock, wildlife, and economic stability of Texas, with projections indicating its arrival in Texas by July 25 and movement to the Canadian border by the end of summer. Whereas the Texas Farm Bureau reports that agriculture contributes nearly $868 billion to the Texas economy, with over 12.2 million cattle, 655,000 sheep, 786,000 goats, making Texas the leading state in livestock production. Whereas Texas is home to a vast wildlife population, including over 5.1 million white-tailed deer, 150,000 mule deer, and numerous exotic and endangered species such as the onyx, addax antelope, dama gazelle, and rhinoceros, which are critical to both conservation and the rural economy. Whereas rural economies rely heavily on hunting and wildlife management, generating over $4.6 billion annually from deer hunting alone, supporting 24,000 jobs and adding $446 million in tax revenue. Whereas the spread of the New World screwworm fly threatens not only animal health, but also land values, rural employment, and decades of conservation success, potentially resulting in hundreds of billions of dollars in economic losses. Whereas current treatment options are severely limited, with the sterile insect technique unavailable due to insufficient capacity at the USDA's Panama facility, leaving macrocyclic lactones such as ivermectin, duramectin, equinamectin, abamectin, and selamectin as the only viable solution. Whereas livestock feed manufacturers in Texas are prepared to incorporate ivermectin dry premix into livestock and wildlife feeds to curb the infestation, but are currently unable to do so due to the lack of FDA and USDA authorization for access to the dry premix used in other government programs. Whereas urgent federal leadership and authorization is required to prevent catastrophic loss to the economy, environment, and public trust in rural management. Now therefore be it resolved by the Commissioners Court of Medina County, Texas, that the Medina County Commissioners Court urgently calls upon the President of the United States and all state and federal officials to authorize the immediate production and distribution of millions of doses of ivermectin dry premix for use by livestock feed manufacturers, and to mobilize and convert existing military or federal facilities to breed sterile New World screwworm flies, ensuring operational readiness within the next 2 weeks. That this court further urges the FDA and the USDA to expedite emergency approval for feed manufacturers to access and utilize ivermectin dry premix in livestock and wildlife feeds across the affected regions. And that a certified copy of this resolution be forwarded to the President of the United States, the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, FDA Commissioner, and all members of the Texas congressional delegations. That this resolution shall be in full force and effective immediately upon adoption. So that is the resolution that is in front of us. I'm sure that there are probably a lot of people here hearing about the New World screwworm and the threat to us and the lack of the sterile flies to address the situation. In the room today, and I appreciate we got some of our partners out here in the feed business. Brandon's here with us today from Mummies. We got our Terrence with us today from AgriLife. I have a couple of the Farm Bureau representatives here, a few of them with us today. And Mr. Ainsley back from Lissy and Echo. And didn't ask them to speak, but I want them to know we were trying to do this. We always talk about the roots and of this county in agriculture. The latest that I could find on it was 2022. It said we had about 160,000 acres of cropland, and there's over $350,000 of pasture land out there. So I know we spend a lot of time talking about subdivisions and talking about growth, and we talk about a couple of hundred acres at a time, but the truth of the matter is we have people taking care of over 350,000 acres every day out there rurally. And I hope this week the rain is a sign of relief for our farmers. I hope we're turning the corner out of drought. But the last thing that we need is to come out of a drought and go into this situation. So this is, the meat of it is it's urging the federal government especially to allow them to have access to this, that we could get into the feeds and hopefully help to head off this epidemic for our wildlife. So with that, the court asks for any, if y'all have any comments, or we take a motion and then have comments.
I'll make the next action to make a resolution supporting the meaning of federal action on the combat threat of the New World School problem to livestock, wildfire, and rural economy.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Motion was by Commissioner Sitter, seconded by Commissioner Castiglione to approve the resolution supporting immediate federal action to combat the threat of the New World Screwworm. Any other discussion?
All I'm telling you, I've talked to Tony Gonzalez several times, and he is on this thing 100%. He is really going to be getting into it this week after a conversation with 2 or 3 people who talked to him yesterday on Sunday. Yes, he picked up the phone on Sunday. It has really bothered me that our state and local people have not said a word about nothing. With all the stuff we got going on, and I think they convened this week, I don't think what they through this week.
Last night.
If they out there finally go home. Yeah, it's just, has been a long drawn out thing, and, we watch these bills go through, and nothing about this has ever been across their desk. And it's really bothersome. But anyhow, that's all I got.
Okay, one last thing, just because it's part of kind of what we're talking about. So locally on June, well, not locally, on June the 9th, there is going to be a webinar from 2 to 4 through AgriLife. We could get, Jennifer, can we get the flyer and put it on our website? When the website comes up, we can add it to ours. You can also reach out to AgriLife. You do need to go, you need to register for it. I registered last week, and they'll send you a link and all the information so you can join it on June the 9th from 2 to 4. And then additionally, locally, we will have on June the 24th, that's being put on by AgriLife also. It's going to start at 9 a.m. I think they have an 8:30 registration at Graph 7A out at the maze. And it's actually a seminar, multiple things on cattle, but the first thing that starts at 9 o'clock is actually, I believe it's about an hour and a half presentation, if I remember right, that's going to be specifically to the screwworm epidemic. So again, that's June 24th locally out at the maze at Graph 7A, starting at 9 a.m. and then June the 9th for the webinar. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Excellent. And thank you again for all of you all that came this morning. I appreciate y'all being here. You're welcome to stay, or you're welcome to go. So whenever you get tired, yes, you don't have to ask me twice, right? Thank you, guys. All right, agenda item 12, presentation by Mark McCliney with Samco Capital Markets Incorporated regarding the possible issue of tax notes to fund certain proposed capital improvements and other matters thereto. Mr. McCliney. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Thank you.
We started a conversation with the judge about January, February of this year about the possibility of borrowing for some various projects. You had a drop-off in debt service between this fiscal year and next fiscal year. About a month ago, 3 weeks ago, the judge and Ruby and I met. We went over this again, and he wanted us to bring it to your all's attention with the idea of perhaps doing this later this year. So this little chart that I've handed out just outlines where we are. If you look at the third column from the left, existing debt service, underlined numbers are our current fiscal year. And you'll see over on the far right, the total tax rate for the county. So third column from the left, this year we have $2,652,000 of total debt that's supported by ad valorem taxes. Next year, if we do nothing, it drops to $2,373,000. So it was an opportunity, and this is what we started back in January, to borrow without impacting the tax rate if you had capital improvement projects or equipment that you needed to move forward with. So as we started the conversation, we started with some general projects for countywide, and then the judge wanted to look at various items for precincts, each precinct. And we ended up with about a $4.5 million potential tax note. If you look at the middle column, it shows the debt service. It's 412, goes to approximately 495, and then levels out $880,000. These are estimates. I'm using 4.5% interest rate. We don't know what rate we'll get until we eventually sell these obligations. But using those numbers and looking to the far right, we can do this all within the same tax rate structure. So it gives you the ability to borrow for some of these projects. And Judge, I don't know if you want me to go through the project list or.
I've handed them to them there. Yes, sir.
And so we can do this and maintain the tax rate, and in 2 years, there'll be another drop off. So we're not maxing you out by any means. It's going to keep you with the opportunity to borrow in the future. Your bond rating and your finances remain incredibly strong. And so we've seen a negative impact on the county if these are projects that are a priority and you want to move forward with. And so that's, we don't want to come in and ask you to do anything on a first time. A tax note, unlike a certificate of obligation, is one action item by the Commissioner's Court. So if you all like the idea, probably after we get final values, which would be late January, we would come in with a bond tax note sale.
Late June. Right.
Late June, I think it's July 25th is when final
Late
values.
July. You said January.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we would come in early August after getting final values so that we can max and absolutely hit the tax rate where you want it to be. So we're just looking for direction if this plan is something that meets your all needs.
Wish your pencil was sharp enough to help us like Williamson County.
Mm-hmm. You mean the big numbers?
Yeah, I think that's.
500 million every 5 years, just for roads.
That's Hayes County is doing the same thing.
500 million every 5 years.
So I think today we're just looking for, if you have any questions and Mark, certainly, but it's just today, like you said, it's really information, general direction, and then, kind of going back, we actually discussed this in the last budget cycle, but wanted to wait, and then as we started to work through it, it was actually better to wait until we work all the way through this beginning of this budget cycle to get final numbers and be able to bring that back.
Yeah, I think we've done one of these 3 or 4 years back sometime.
Yes, sir.
And we actually had a reserve we left into it in case somebody needed some money for some type of incident. I think David used some of it, and I used some of it, also equipment we borrowed, bought, and then paid it back to the thing. So I think it's a good idea to have a reserve there in case we can use it or not, whatever we do with it.
But we, like I said, in the initial list is what I went over with all of you, but we kind of were waiting on final numbers, and we'll start to hone in on all of that as we move over the next 30 days and share that information back to you all.
Can you give me a little more explanation for the annex and jail construction? I guess it's general fund reimbursement.
That's correct. That's, those are funds from the projects that weren't, that we took out of general fund because there was no money borrowed or anything on those. And so when we had to do our final pays to those on their retainage and stuff, we actually took those funds out of general fund. And then back in December, we the court took an action to allow for us to be reimbursed. We had, was it 60 days we had?
You could go back, I think, 60 days from that time. It was the reimbursement resolution that Clay provided for y'all.
Yeah, so we took that action to allow us to reimburse the general fund for those expenses.
Explain how that's beneficial to me, to borrow money to reimburse us for ourselves.
Yeah.
For money we spent.
Well, I think the idea was it just wasn't ever planned for, and so we wasn't ever borrowed, and when we got up at the end of it, we actually went and made budget adjustments to take the money back, so just to reimburse our fund, so. And if we don't want to reimburse the general fund, and we want to leave some in reserve, again, we just need to work through this over input over the next.
I'm not necessarily against it, I just want to understand the benefits of that.
I'm in the same.
You know, I think the purpose of it was to keep our middle fund, general funds up high enough to cover the 50 to 60% what we should have over and above. And I agree with both of you. It's just, you got the reserve there, that's kind of what the general funds are, but you don't want to leave your money down to nothing either.
Yeah.
But,
Well, when these kind of things come up, you know, we have, the flood mitigation, right, we have those kind of projects, and we have quite a few, we look at we look at a lot of those projects, and so we would have to take out the general fund. If some of those things just come up and we don't know during budget cycles, which is kind of what happened on this. But we can look at all that, I mean, it's, if we want to reduce that, we want to use that in another, or some another way into a park, we have all those options. This is just the initial brush, it kind of, here's what we would be, here's the amount that it would be, and so that's not all.
So we're specifically looking at the $4.5 million total
Correct.
and making the analysis on how it would affect the tax rate. And
That's
it
correct.
would not,
4.5, you could do it without any impact to the tax rate.
okay.
So like I said, we may want to partially do that and use, I know that, I still have obviously things on the list that are beyond that number, right? So we may want to do part of it, so it's just something that we got to kind of analyze. But this was to get the mark in front of everybody, taking a first brush at it, based off of kind of what we had looked at in general, and then just start to work through that.
you know, just if you don't throw some more money at that, just like county building alone, we haven't got started with some yet, and this air conditioner, we got 11 different air conditioners in that building.
Right.
And it's a nightmare. I mean, we got somebody over there daily. And him over there, you know, he's sitting up there, water dripping on.
Well, you just, because you're very sequence working, he's talking about the building.
Everybody upstairs has water dripping on their body, it's not coming from the commotion. But last week was a nightmare, we had buckets all over the building, getting condensation plugged up. It's just, when you have that many air conditioners, and I don't have a simple fix for it, I don't. If you can have, just say one, just a tack on, you got 6 people in there, and 6 people want their air conditioner cells up there. It just ain't gonna happen. You got one with fans underneath them, you got one with heater on, and they're both probably on the same line.
Yes, sir.
It is a mess, it is a true mess, and then that's not the only bad part about it is, it's the things keep breaking down. We got a bunch of mini splits is what we got, big mini splits. So I don't know what the answer to fix all that is. Could be expensive.
What was the total amount of requested needs, over and above the 4.5 million?
Well, I mean, not really more requests, but I mean, y'all had asked, or you had asked about like a distributor truck, but I don't even know how much that is. I mean,
Just assume 350.
About 350.
yeah. And then out at probation, we never did the security fencing out there from those buildings are brand new between the buildings.
Okay.
Which that's not a real big project, it's like 40,000, but I mean, those could be some things we have been doing out of 40 years over too. So, I mean, but there's, I mean, there's a few things like that. There were a couple more things on the list, but it's not
So not a,
a huge, not millions of dollars.
not a multi-million-dollar list, but
No.
there are some in addition to what is currently on the list.
Right, like the next, Mark was talking about like 2 years from now, the only thing I can see out like theirs, that would come about the time when we would have opportunity, if we go resubmit for the courthouse restoration program again in this cycle. Well, that, that's probably $1.5 million plus, but that's far enough down the road that you'd be like in a 2-year cycle, kind of like how the litigation did. I can't, there's nothing like barring some disaster that we don't know about, but we have some big amount of money like that.
But Dave, I understand exactly what you're saying. It's just, trying to keep that reserve.
Yeah. We'll look at it, we'll look at that, because we'll bring back exactly what that number is, and we can do all of that. So, just generally, we'll move on, and we'll keep feeding our numbers, and kind of as we work through the process. Does that sound like a consensus? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for the presentation, I appreciate you. Okay, next we have item 13, discuss and take possible action to authorize the submission of an application to the U.S. Department of Transportation for the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant to develop a comprehensive safety action plan. Mr. Miller, come on, talk.
Good morning. About a couple weeks ago, the U.S. Department of Transportation released a grant opportunity, Safe Streets for All, so it's called. It's really focused on improving street safety across the whole U.S., and Texas is getting a big chunk of that money. So it really is broken into 2 categories. There's a planning and an implementation grant. Once again, like some of the other grants, you can't really apply for implementation until you have the planning study done. This one's a little unique where you can apply for the planning grant and also one pilot project if there's a high area of need and an easily identifiable project. And so the grant is an 80-20% local match on that. It is due at the end of this month. It's a relatively short and easy application. And the application does not, make the county responsible for any further funds. That process will take probably 6 to 8 months to even get awarded if that were to be the case. I guess the application would look at all precincts. I'll step back a little bit. There's really 3 criteria when looking at the scoring. First is, has the city, county, state, MPO, whatever, applied for these funds before? The second one is fatality rate per 1,000 residents. Medina County is at a 40, which is pretty high when looking around the state, top 10 in the state, which is not a good thing, but that's kind of why we're talking about this right now. And then the third thing is an underserved community. Medina County does not qualify for that particular part of it, but with those first 2 being the main scoring criteria, the third one kind of being bonus points. So I think it would look pretty good to get the grant when comparing it to other cities and counties. City of San Antonio, Bear County, New Braunfels, Bernie, they've all done this cycle last year. So they're all this is kind of a newer thing across the state. And there's not a whole lot of safety action plans implemented yet, but there's a lot of communities that are doing this right now. So I think the ask now would just be to do the application, see what happens. It's a bunch of forms and then a 2-page area that I think we would get with each commissioner and look at some of those high fatality areas on the road network and kind of gear the 2-page application towards those high area of impact.
What was the match?
I got 2, I'd like to get on the list, it's
So that was one we looked at, and maybe that can be one of the pilot project. The rules say no permanent roadway improvements, and they don't want you to go and just do a bunch of capacity projects, add more lanes. That's what they don't want you to do. There's a whole bunch of ways you can spend the money, though. I mean, we could maybe frame that as like a striping, right? Striping is not permanent, right, in their definition. So maybe that's how we look at that. So that's possible. A lot of the communities are doing like studies for their police departments, emergency vehicle, or emergency personnel, looking at like school zones, looking at drunk driving programs, things like that. But there's also projects where you can do striping and things like that to help increase the safety without making it a permanent improvement.
So actual road improvement is not.
Taking a 2-lane to a 3-lane or something like that, they don't want you to do that. That's not their bucket of money. Unless you can prove, unless it's in an area where there's a isolated high collision area, then maybe there's a way you can get around that. But they don't want you to use it on Highway 90 or something like that.
So they want to use it on county roads?
It can be any roadway system. I think there probably, if we can get letters of support, if it's whether it's city or state, if we get letters of support in the application packet, that makes that application that much stronger. So right now, the application cost for the county would be a zero cost at this point.
But striping is.
If you read the definition, striping is one of the first things they talk about as safety. So a different lane, that could be, it is a widening a little bit as well.
That whole thing is completely refit.
But if we can, but if,
a third of it's underwater. Well, the other end, you're having to do work on that right now.
right, yep.
So once you work on both ends, why don't we connect in the middle? I could see we could be spending on some low water bridges and stuff you got on the other end. 3 to 5 million. Minimal. I don't know what a bridge costs, low water bridge. We need about a quarter mile of it.
That's a lot. You go a quarter mile.
You need a quarter mile.
Quarter mile of the water crossing?
Yeah, I'm talking about the 18 inches.
That's a long way.
That would have 18 inches of water.
For a quarter mile? That's not a water crossing, that's
It's a bridge.
That's a bridge. I mean, that's a road.
It's a highway crossing.
Yeah.
We need to get some people from Louisiana over here to get into that. But that's what we're on, quarter mile.
Reflective pavement markers as well? Okay.
Yeah, there's long stretches where, and I think it'd be good to sit down and with in each precinct and identify some of them and use our 2 pages to identify actual projects instead of just kind of throwing a blanket statement out there. I think it looks a lot better than that.
Yeah, what you're talking about, I'm doing all that.
Right.
I'm doing that right now.
So that it's more grant funding for planning?
So this one will be, yeah, like some of the other grants. If you don't have a plan, they won't let you choose your implementation
It's like when
plan.
you're on the flood.
So it's like the flood planning, right? So, but this one does allow you to choose a pilot project. So I think the amount of money that the US DOT has it's a huge bucket, and not a lot of communities are applying for these grants. So they have some money set aside from previous fiscal years that they weren't able to utilize.
Okay.
That's the problem, is in the $0 supply.
Yes, you don't have it.
Is that a motion?
Well, I can make it better than that. I'll make a motion that we take possible action to authorize the submission of an application to the U.S. Department of Transportation for the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant to develop a comprehensive safety action plan.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Lynch, seconded by Commissioner Castellini. And you said possible action too, but I'm sure you want to start with authorize.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll make a motion to authorize the submission.
Excellent.
Sorry.
Okay. Authorize the submission of an application to the U.S. Department of Transportation for the Safe Streets and Roads for All grants. Any other discussion?
Judge, I have a question.
Yes.
I just wanted to see if you could run that through our office as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We're gonna need help. There's 5 or 6 forms that I think the county needs to fill out just on county data. And then there's 2-page narrative, which I think we can help with the commissioner's help.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll definitely let you
usually, they flow through our grants administrator.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we get back with it for sure.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Judge.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Excellent. Man, Travis, you're quiet. I didn't even see you back there. I just saw the name. I'm like, is he here? Okay, item 14, presentation by Travis Christie, Chief Operating Officer of the Nueces River Authority, to announce a grant award for the Texas Water Development Board for the Nueces River Basin Study for floodplain map updates. high hazard dam identification and risk assessment, low water crossing inventory, and early flood warning system. Good morning to you.
Morning, Commissioners. How are y'all doing?
Excellent.
So I think, probably about 6 months ago, I had a chance to talk with the judge, the commissioner, and some of the staff about this project. So part of the Region 13 flood planning process, one of the biggest issues we had with state floodplains is lack of maps and outdated data. So we applied for a grant. It's with the Texas Water Development Board through their flood infrastructure funds. And it was to help update county maps throughout the region, also look at our early warning system, do a high hazard dam assessment, and a low water crossing. We did receive that grant, so we are in the final processes to do the final application. We were proceeding to move forward. Now, the next step is seeing which counties want to participate, because the county will have to pay for their share of this project if you want to participate and get this information. It is a great savings to the county. If you look here at the bottom, it kind of tells you all the different stuff, but if you were trying to do this project alone, you're looking at a cost about $1.8 million. Through this, we got a 75% and 90% grant. The different pieces are different, but the minimum was 75%. Some of them actually got 90% grant. So the cost of Medina County would be $470,000. The next best part about this is we were given a 10-year zero interest loan. So if the county chooses to participate, they do not have to pay the $470,000 up front. They can if they would like to, or you can do 10 payments of the $47,000 to this project if you want to. The Nueces River Authority is going to run this project. We will take on the debt services from the state, so the county will not have to do any extra things like fill out any paperwork, go through the debt service process, anything like that. It will just be a payment to the River Authority to take this if you wish to join on this project. With it, we will map the entire county down to the 6-inch level throughout the county, so you'll be able to use this now as your new FEMA map if you choose to. It'll be FEMA compatible, and then we can start the process once this is done to have FEMA officially adopt this map. That is an extremely long process, but you can adopt this map once it's complete until FEMA does get approved, so you can actually use this as your new countywide flood mapping process. You will get all the models for this project as well, so the county will own the map and the models. You'll have those copies, and then we will identify water issues in the county that will actually roll them into the flood process so that you guys can get funding and make the improvements on these different projects. So that's the biggest piece of it. We're also going to do a complete early warning system assessment of the entire Nueces Basin from all the counties. We're going to look for gaps, find out which all the USDA things are broken, and try to come up with a new plan to fix that as well. And then, like I said, the high hazard dam and low water crossing. You guys have quite a few low water crossings in this county, so we'll do an assessment of them as well to give them eligibility for state funding through the flood infrastructure fund process. That's a lot of information. I will be happy to answer questions that you guys have.
Excellent. Of course, I know we've been working on this a while, and thank you for working on it. It actually, there's some information I know our county badly needs just from our development side. I don't know if you said that in there, but the mapping though, that you said this would include our entire county, even the little piece that's Medina River shed, so it would be the entirety of our county. And I mean, this isn't just a big deal for us in the county and our development. I mean, our cities that I think have very outdated flood information.
City of Hondo, yes, it will affect the city, they can use this information.
So City of Hondo downtown, I mean, there hasn't been water in downtown Hondo in years since they did improvements northwest of town. But all of this is still showing, including a block from here, that it's all in the flood zone. So it's pretty, I think, a big deal for us. So 470,340 is the total, and we're going to have two parts on here. We have the presentation, and then the next item is actually to be able to work on it on it. But $47,034 a year if we do the 10 years interest free.
I just wanted to make sure that we had before the remaining portion of Medina County that was in the Medina River Basin watershed included in this price number.
Is that what we were just talking about? Is that what you're saying?
I'll let me double confirm that with the state.
So if you look at.
Put that on top of it.
No, that's what I was just talking about. that's
I wanted
included.
to make sure.
Let me, I will confirm that with the state grant to make sure it's available for this grant. I will double check that to confirm.
I have a second thought.
Yeah, I want to, well, so specifically, I'm looking at the data that y'all will turn over after this is done.
Mhm.
So it can be used by, not only our, like, emergency management, but our subdivisions, looking at, you know, if you have lots that are in the floodplain. But I want the whole county.
I will confirm that, make sure that part of the county is eligible for this grant. If it is not eligible for this grant, I'm sure the engineering firm, because it's only a small sliver of the county, could probably map it at an additional cost, but I'll bring that to the court if that's the case. So either way, we can give you that answer one way or the other, because I already figured doing it, so.
Yeah, because we need 100% while we're doing it, because that sliver up there is important to us.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand that. Just for a full understanding with this project, it's about a $30 million grant for the whole basin. There's 31 counties involved in this process. If the counties that choose not to, we don't say for one of the counties over doesn't want to go, we don't lose the grant, we just remove their portion of that funding from the grant with this. And then that price tag at 470 is not spread out equally. It's based on your mileage, square footage of your county, the number of low water crossings, all that stuff. So every county's price is different. I know that's a couple questions that come up in other commissioners' courts that I've been to.
Any other questions for Travis on that? All right, then we'll move to item 15, discuss and take possible action to authorize the county judge to negotiate the terms of an interlocal agreement for the future review and consideration by Commissioners Court with the Nueces River Authority for Medina County's participation in the TWDB Nueces River Basin Study.
I'll have that interlocal agreement to you, Judge, probably in another week or so. And then the payments don't take place until your next budget cycle, so you don't have to worry about it in this budget cycle as well. So,
And just FYI, that's Maggie right there. I don't know if y'all met. She's with the Criminal District Attorney's Office. She does all of the
Yes.
civil work. So I'll just put y'all together in an email this afternoon. That way, whenever you get ready to send that, you just send it to
You'll be happy. It's only about like a 5-page document. We keep ours pretty small.
She ought to keep it under 12. I think she's
Okay,
so,
I'll make a motion to authorize the county judge to negotiate the terms and the legal agreement with the review of the consideration of the Commissioner Court with the Nueces River Authority and Medina County petition in the Texas Water Development Program, Nueces River Basin Authority, including Medina County.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sitter, seconded by Commissioner Castiglione to authorize the county judge to negotiate the terms of the interlocal agreement with the Nueces River Authority for Medina County's participation in the TWDB Nueces River Basin Study. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Travis, again, thank you for looking.
Thank you very much.
Trevor, you have a card.
I'll get one. I'll bring one right back.
You got to get some printed.
I'll be right back. I'll
He's
get
not
one.
putting on here. Here you go.
Actually, I'll send you his contact card.
Okay,
I'll send it to you.
thank you much.
Thank y'all.
Thanks.
Y'all have a good day.
All right, next up, we have item 16, discuss and take possible action to approve an interlocal cooperation agreement with Kerr County for jail services.
Are we sending up there, or are they
We're
sending
sending
down
up there.
Hmm?
This is us sending, we have an agreement with them, so if there was any overflows, let's keep it in place. We're not sending any currently, but you just never know, and it's good to have an agreement in case something were to happen. I mean, we can have part of the jail flood, or part of it, something bad happened to it, you gotta take people out, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement with Kerr County for jail services.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sitter, seconded by Commissioner Lynch to approve an interlocal cooperation agreement with Kerr County for jail services. Any other discussion?
What, do we have an existing interlocal agreement, with Cook County?
We did.
And what's the rate? Maggie?
So I reviewed the interlocal, we had one before, their previous rate was $67.50 was the per diem rate. This one has an increase to $100 per diem. I brought that to the attention when I was asked to review it to Kara and Sheriff Brown. They think it's unlikely they would even put an inmate there, but they just kind of want the agreement in place. Like George said, in case of an emergency or we needed to put people up there, but they had indicated to me they were aware of the price change, but it would be very unlikely that they would actually place inmates there.
But there's always a chance.
There's a
So-
chance, sure, yeah.
You know, I've seen interlocal agreements before, you know, they're always about no more than $80 per day. You know,
It was
per-
high,
per
that's-
diem. It's high, and that's why I'm questioning it.
It is high, and that's why I brought it to their attention, and so they're aware of the price difference. They just kind of acknowledged to me that they understood the price difference, but that would be very unlikely to place inmates there. And we do have interlocals with other counties as well, to place inmates other places. I believe we still have one with ASCO, so, yeah, and, so.
Do we know what that one, what the rate of that one is, Gilbert?
That one,
Ascos.
that one I don't know. I know Carp County's going rate is $110. But since we were already in contract, they lowered it down.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen that.
Never had it
No.
come through.
So I'm assuming Ascos is probably less.
Yes.
I think it was in the.
So we got other options.
Yeah,
So that honors are like $58.
Because but it sounds like it sounds like there's a move that everything's starting, so it may be that we're gonna find ourselves to be low, and we're gonna need to start moving as well.
Okay.
As we start to go through them, so they're watching that, kind of trying to get a look at it.
I just don't want to get into an agreement and then say something catastrophic happens to the jail and we actually have to use this interlocal agreement and for a long while, and it's a huge budgetary impact.
Well, I think if we did that, Commissioner, first of all, I'm talking about just something like emergency happens, okay? So if that happened, you have to have a place to go right now, and sometimes getting them close and doing all that. But if that was the case, then we would reach out, I mean, we wouldn't just leave them there and be like, okay, let's check our other places around, let's see what we can do. It may take 2 or 3 weeks to get through that process to find a cheaper spot, but this is, the good news is we're not in a position like with juvenile, we have to go contract. We have, I don't know how many on the juvenile side of these things, they're party placement, they're all over, and you're literally at the mercy of whatever the cost is, and it's getting really high on these kids. But in this case, I mean, this is just, we do not foresee having to do this. I mean, we have the capacity at our jail, so it would literally be something catastrophic in our jail that happens, and then, yes, we would make a move to say, okay, well, let's figure out where else we could go with that. So, I think having it available is what's important to me, just in case it's like, hey, we gotta do something.
I think if that's okay, it's good to have it back.
Yeah, we do have Ascosa, yes, we have Ascosa, so obviously we take them there first.
Okay.
Okay, did I have a motion?
I mean,
Did I have a motion, a second was from you, correct?
That's a long time ago.
Yes, okay, I did have a motion, a second. That was, yeah, that was a long while back. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion carries with the heavy, try not to use that. Okay, item 17, discuss and take possible action to authorize the issuance and advertise for a request for proposals from for wireless internet service provider to lease space for equipment placement on the communications tower located west of Dudley at 646 County Road 4514, Hondo. If you all will remember, if we go back multiple months ago, we did this, and we actually got a proposal in, and before we ever got to negotiate all of that, the people had decided they didn't want to do it. And so after, I don't know, 2 or 3 months went by, and they came back and said, hey, we'd like to go ahead and do that. And I was told, well, we need to start over because, I mean, I can't just come back and start the proposal. I mean, you had already given us the notice that you didn't want to do it. So this is restarting that, just to go out, and this is to put an internet provider on the Dudley Tower. Again, the benefit to the county is we need internet service at our towers to carry back information. Do we have electricity at the tower? What's the temperature of the equipment? So it's a benefit to us that's in here. So maybe we'll actually be able to get internet at the tower this time. So this is just restarting that process from one and going through it again.
Make a motion to authorize the issuance and advertisement for a request for proposals for wireless internet service providers to lease space for equipment placement on the communications tower located west of Dudley, 646 County Road 4514, Hondo, Texas.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Castiglione and a second by Commissioner Sitter, as stated by Commissioner Castiglione. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 18, discuss and take possible action to approve bond number 61551177 of tax assessor and collector Melissa Leach, required by the tax code, section 628.
I'll move that we approve the bond number 61551177 of the tax assessor and collector Melissa Lutz, required by tax code.
I have a motion by Commissioner Lynch, as stated by him, seconded by Commissioner Sitter. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 19, discuss and take possible action to extend the filing deadline for the annual audit report for Emergency Service District number 6 from June 1, 2025 to July 1, 2025, which is 30 days per section 775.082D of the Texas Health and Safety Code. I will tell you, we're not going to need to take action on this because I received the audit at 8:35 on the 30th of May, 8:35 p.m. Obviously too late to be on the agenda. However, it will be on the agenda in 2 weeks to do the acceptance of it. So we are in receipt of it, which was the last one that we were waiting on. So we made it in under the time. All right, item 20, discuss and take possible action to declare items from the following office as surplus and/or salvage and authorize disposal. In the auditor's office, salvage a Dell Latitude 3580 laptop, JP3, salvage a Canon printer copier, and precinct 3 salvage a, is it Gross broom. What is that?
It's a
A
broom.
big broom, a sweeper.
It's a broom.
It's a sweeper.
I call mine a wife.
I mean, that's an antique right there.
That is. What year is that thing? You don't know? No year.
It's the first one we built. First one we built.
If you like the first street sweeper ever built, Commissioner Lynch has one that's going to be going for salvage.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So I will make a motion to declare items from the following offices as surplus and/or salvage and authorize disposal. The auditor, JP3 and precinct 3, as stated on the agenda.
Have a motion by Commissioner Castiglione, seconded by Commissioner Sitter, to declare the items listed on the agenda as authorize disposal as surplus or salvage. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 21, court member announcements.
Thank goodness for the rain. We really needed it. I wanted to make sure that people were aware that I think there's a temporary burn ban. We're allowing people to burn. I don't know how long it lasts. I hope you'll make the formal announcement. But I did see a lot of people burning their brush piles this weekend. Yes, they were smiling. The farmers are also smiling too.
Yes.
You know, when they're going to breakfast, I actually see them with grins on their faces. In precinct 1, we're still cleaning up a lot of dead trees that have fallen over because of the recent rains and winds. We're doing a lot of shredding because the grass is now growing, and we can because it is still wet. We don't have that worry about hitting a rock and starting a fire. We're continuing to do patches on some of our roads. We're reworking some of our gravel roads due to the recent rains. They've gotten bumpy and have some potholes. We did some edge widening on 4643, which runs between Piggy Road and US 90. We have a lot of trucks that run on that road, so we're getting a lot of edge drop-offs. So we used some of the millings that we received from TxDOT from IH35, which is good material, to go out there and widen that roadway to help when motorists are passing a dump truck on that road. We're continuing to make improvements to County Road 651. There was one section of that road that is extremely narrow. We are going in there and widening that roadway. We had to remove several small trees in order to make room to get that road to be wide enough to where 2 cars will be passed. So we're continuing to work on that. Unfortunately, the distributor truck went down last week. We already have it at Cooper. We think that there's a leak in the seal in there. But as soon as we get that back, we'll continue on that project.
We're bidding again, thank God for the rain. It just, yesterday about 10 o'clock, I came off the top of my house at the hill overlooking Medina Valley. It looked like Baghdad. There was smoke every single good grief. We got bombed overnight. But anyhow, thank God for the rain, and like I say, it's just a blessing all the way around. But anyhow, we continue to stay busy.
Precinct 3 is also taking care of some loose ends caused by the blessing of rain. Had a lot of debris removal on the Lino Creek and Wacana down in the Yancey area, the southern part of the county. Some of our low water crossings. Also waiting on some parts for shredders so we can continue our shredding operation and have a next road project down in the southeast part of the county. Is our next big one to start. I didn't realize that there was an interim removal of the burn ban. In fact, I got a call from a constituent this morning that said the sheriff's dispatch said no burning today. So I don't know if we've got wind issues going on or not. But, so I assumed that we were still in full burn ban mode.
Yeah, we put something out Friday, I think it was.
Friday.
Friday.
I missed that.
So I wanted to clarify if it was just for this past weekend or if it was for 2 weeks. I want to make sure that it's 2 weeks.
Yeah, and we're waiting on all that data to come in. I'm hoping we do this, we'll be able to lift it. That's the hope, we're just waiting on all the data.
But we have to
Right, we still need to call the sheriff's office because depending on the day, I mean, it's not, not guaranteed we're gonna do that day, but if the conditions are right, then we'll. So maybe they can call the sheriff's office and they'll know if we're good to go for the day. That's it. The only thing I think I have this morning is, I did see that House Bill 1109, looks like it passed, which was the fuel exemption, the tax exemption on the fuel for the counties. And from what I saw, that it looks like that'll actually take effect on July 1st. So that's a little bit of a help to us, which is.
I think our ASR bill also.
It did, yeah, it did.
What's in Bill 15 do?
I'm waiting on all those final reports reports, and I think we're fixing to find a bunch of that out over the next 48 hours. Midnight,
If you really want to hear something sickening, they're acting on the past laws. I don't think it's going to affect Medina County, maybe up in our ETJ area, to deregulate the lot size down to 1,400 square feet. It's sickening.
Yeah, that was on the city's 130,000 population. I saw that.
Well, what does it do if it's in the ETJ?
I don't have clarity on that.
Yeah, the way I read it, we can find it somehow or other, it's got to be in the county, it's over 80,000 or 120,000.
100,000.
So,
No,
100,000.
over 100,000, and we're not.
So they got to be sitting there.
130.
130, and we're not 130 yet.
Yeah, but the question for him is city, San
Is it
Antonio,
ETJ?
ETJ, which it would, it may be, so we're trying to get clarity on that.
So we need to get clarity on, is it within the city of San Antonio proper, or does it also include their ETJ? Because if it includes their ETJ, it includes the very far northeast corner of Medina County.
That's what we're, yeah, that's what we can find out. Excellent. Very good. Thank you again, everybody, for being here this morning, and hope everybody has a great week. If it wants to rain, we'll certainly take some more.
Good enough.
I'll take a motion to
I make a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn. Second.
We are adjourned. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.
You make the little people. Yes.